We have this video of Russian troops surrendering and civilians fleeing in Russia's Kursk region. Now, all this came after a surprise offensive from Ukraine into Russia. Ukrainian military saying they occupy now nearly 400 square miles of Russian territory. Vladimir Putin says it's an attempt by Ukraine to try to gain some leverage in possible peace talks. Let's talk about it. Retired Major Ignazio joins us, military analyst, former Air Force Special Operations Commander. You and I talked about Ukraine a lot. This is interesting because we've talked about what Russia's done going into Ukraine. Now it's Ukraine going a little bit into Russia. How significant?
Yeah, it's actually, if you look at it from the Ukrainian standpoint and their capability, it is rather impressive because they moved in, as you mentioned, they took about 400 square miles, but they also took one of the power plants, a nuclear power plant, shut down some of that area. In addition to that, if you look at it outside of the tactical standpoint or the military standpoint, it really has embarrassed Putin because now you have an invasion actually into the country of Russia itself. Yeah. And that in itself is a slap in the face, like it or not, to the people of Russia, regardless of the propaganda he's been pushing.
Yeah, and that video is something they wouldn't want to see there. There they are on the side of the road surrendering, right? So let me go for a moment, lying down there after the surrender. And again, this is inside Russia. You know, over the border inside of Russia. Let's go to the maps here. I have it on the tablet, and you get a sense of where this is. Obviously, it's going to be close to the border, but the border with Ukraine just runs right up in here, right? And then if you look at where this area is, this is Kursk, which we're circling right in here. And then on the other side of it, this is Ukraine's advance into Russia. We have Russia's advance into Ukraine because that's been a significant part of it, Glenn, is that all that area in red is Russian-controlled territory and the advances in Ukraine. So that's the area, that's the region, Western Russia, Eastern Ukraine, and how this all ends up. Is there a negotiation on the table at some point to Putin? I guess to Putin's point, that's what he seems to think.
I would think that it would be better for that. But again, Putin's been embarrassed. And that is one of the things that he doesn't like. So saving face, regardless if it's the right thing to do or not for a peace negotiation or even a ceasefire, I don't believe that. I believe it pushed him over the edge further away from that. Because at this point, you know, you're talking about, 20 miles or so into Russia itself. And, Ukraine has to maintain that logistics train. And I think that's one of the things Russia's going to try to close off. And I know Ukraine is trying to pull some of those Russian forces up to be able to make better grounds to the south. But as we were mentioning here, this really pushes Putin on the backside. He's attacked more into Kyiv. And I think it gets further away, and he will not accept any other terms while they are inside of Russia itself. So I believe it got his attention, though.
Yeah, probably. Here's what he actually said. We'll put it up. It appears that the enemy, Putin said, with the help of his Western masters, this is how it's translated, is fulfilling their will, and the West is fighting us with the hands of the Ukrainians. So it looks like the enemy seeks to improve its negotiating positions in the future. So that first part's kind of interesting as well, talking Western masters, in addition to the negotiation. I think you'd been kind of the mind, right, that maybe Ukraine might have to negotiate there, right? I mean, things weren't going great, but now they're getting more weapons, more planes. This is happening. I mean, it's turning around to become more of a winnable war for Ukraine as a final point.
I still have to say I stand on my same grounds as what I see before. This is a great, again, maneuver for them to do. Are they going to be able to stay in Russia and occupy? I don't believe that that's going to be a fact. Like I said, those borders, or excuse me, the line of troops and the line of battle hasn't really moved. And so let's take a look at the technology. We sent the M1 Abrams over there. The M1 Abrams are barely operational right now. It's just the nature of it. We're sending in the F-16s, and we'll see what the impact is that as far as how it's executed. There's a lot more complexities to that. But at the same time, so I think this is one of the things that Putin is latching onto, is the United States publicly stated, hey, we weren't provided notification that Ukraine's going into Russia, which leaves to sense, why do they have to ask permission for us? So that's a great thing propaganda-wise for them to jump onto. But yes, it is one of those things of saying this is a unified effort. It's not just Ukraine defending itself. It's the United States and NATO behind them, and Russia has to defend itself. So I still don't believe that it's going to move things. It's a great tactic. I don't think that's going to change things in the negotiation. I just hope we really get to the negotiation where people just stop dying up both sides.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Glenn. As always, good analysis on all of this. Glenn Ignazio joining us live. Now, thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.